Welcome back to some Dwarf Fortress. So, picking up pretty much from exactly where I left off in the previous video. This is just the current status screen. It's still midway through early winter. So, for today, I'm going to try to get the first of my mega projects up and running. So this area right up here is the base of a tower. I want to finish this one off and then get the second one down here at least started. Kind of show how to do the constructions. Constructions in Dwarf Fortress are a little bit different than building buildings. You actually designate the walls, designate the floor. You can't, I'm sure there's a way of doing the ceilings, but the way I do it is simply placing a roof, or placing a floor on the level above, and that counts as a roof to keep the bad fly things out. So, in order to do a construction like this, go to the Build menu with B, capital C for construction, and then here you have walls, floors, ramps, up, down, or upstairs, downstairs, and then up and downstairs. Fortifications, those are what you shoot out of. Unlike building out of the already existing stone, if you want to do a fortification, you actually have to build the fortification as a fortification. If you use the already existing natural stone, first you smooth the stone, then you carve the fortification. Functionally, they're both identical. It's just a slight difference in how you get there. Tracks and track stops are for minecarts. Again, if you're using natural stone, you would first smooth the stone, and then you would carve the minecart track. And as far as I know, there is no limit to re-smoothing the stone. So it's not like you dig out a tunnel, smooth the stone, carve a minecart track, and then a bit later on you realize, oops, I've messed up that. You go back in, and you can't change anything. What you can do, just go back in, re-smooth the stone, re-carve the track, and you're good to go. So it's not like a wear and tear sort of mechanic, as far as I know. So, I believe that actually I don't have. So there isn't really any difference between the types of blocks that are used. Most of the time you're just going to grab whatever's useful. However, at this point I have enough of a workforce that I can justify trying to make it work good. Unfortunately, quartzite and granite both are identical, so that idea kind of fell flat. So in that case, let us change the color of the corners. If we come over here, olivine is a nice green color. So let's go ahead and use that for the corners. So because we already have a wall segment already built, go to D for designations, then you're going to remove construction within, and then simply enter twice to select a small tile. Alternatively, just click on it with the mouse. So these are now deconstruction jobs. So a couple of my dwarves will, you see the idle work count drop. A couple of dwarves just were assigned to the task. And if we have the therapist open, over to unsorted list and masonry. This is the either making a stone bench, table, whatever, or construction with stone, whereas the masonry skill. You can just have arbitrary people running around doing whatever. However, if you notice, I have a couple of very, very highly skilled dwarves, and just a bunch of unskilled laborers. All you need there is someone who can haul the stone, fit the stone, and call it a wall. So the actual skill doesn't matter so much. So while they're working on that, let's go over to the F3 shortcut down here, and here we have a mason's workshop. Stone blocks, also metal blocks or wood blocks, the only reason to use them is that you take a single stone, carve it into 4 blocks, and each block is functionally identical to the original stone when it comes to buildings. So you can stretch your materials a little bit. It does take a little bit of labor as the stone has to be hauled. However, if we look at this piece of gabbro, here we have a weight of 292, and a basic value of 3. If we come over here to a gabbro block, weight of 17, basic value of 5. So it's a little bit more valuable, it weighs a whole lot less, and you get 4 of these for each stone. So the end result is it's actually faster to install it if you can afford to dedicate 2 or 3 dwarves just to carving up the rocks. So, in order to have my unskilled stonecrafters make the blocks, because all blocks are identical, we have a workshop profile with Shift P. So down here we have you can either assign individual dwarves to it, or better yet, assign a minimum and maximum skill. So minimum is dabbling, which is 0 skill, and then this goes up to proficient, which I believe is either 6 or 8, I'm not entirely sure, but it's at that point you have enough skill that you can produce relatively nice items, good for trade, good for whatever. Odds are you're not going to be producing masterwork quality just yet, but at that point you're able to produce very quickly, and you can produce items that are going to keep your other dwarves nice and happy. So then we come over here. This is the same profile, dabbling to proficient. So I have these set up to construct rock blocks. Simply go to add task, and then construct rock blocks, R to repeat, and I have suspended the task with S. So I don't actually need 2 of these rock block orders, so C to cancel one of them. Then over here, this is the workshop that I use for non-rock block construction. So Shift P for the profile. Then we have Adept to Legendary. So once you have a reasonable amount of skill, you're transferred over to this workshop and actually producing very nice high quality items for the workers to use. So it looks like this stockpile is more or less filled, and yes, you can put a bin to hold the stone blocks. You cannot bin, I guess it would be considered boulders. But if we look here, we have 2 blocks, and I'm pretty sure, no, looks like you can have 5 or 6 blocks per bin. So you don't really lose anything on storing them. just cost you a bin. So let's go back over here and resume to let these guys finish their work. One risk, though, is that you do now have basically non-combat dwarves out in the wild where they can potentially be ambushed. It's not really a huge deal, as the ambush of the season should have already passed. So if we go down here, we're going to build constructions, X for up downstairs, and enter to place one. So that's not how you do stairs. I'll cancel that. Okay. So build constructions, up downstairs, and then for this you need to use UN and KH to change the height and width. So if we go down here, we have 2 high, 3 wide, and over here, place. Now we have a list of all of the materials. We have blocks, or just regular large construction grade materials. Marble, soap, iron bars. You can make it'd just be like an iron stairwell. And the list is sorted by distance, so the closest item will be first. Keep in mind, though, if you are building a large construction, say a large floor or large road, it only takes the distance that's listed is only the first item. So there might be one sitting right next to your building area, and the rest of them are 30 or 40 or 50 levels down in the fortress. So it's going to take a little bit to haul all of those up. However, let's go down a few pages and find trying to find a material that I have a nice stockpile of. But we have bars, blocks. Also, this number only goes up to 99. I do know that I have more than 99, but if it's 99, odds are that you've got quite a bit more. And I believe the largest construction that you can do is a 10 by 10 area. That's going to require 100 pieces of building material. So that would be the only time that the not showing over 99 is going to come into effect. So let's go ahead and do quartzite blocks. They're already relatively close. Then up here, we're going to do, we have on this level stairs going both up and down. So if we go up one more, we need stairs going down. So construct D for downstairs. Same thing, UNKH to resize. And here it says it is blocked. Now it's not actually blocked. What it is the stairs aren't actually constructed. They're only designated. So there's no way for the dwarves to get up to that area to actually build the item. So we'll just let that sit for a few minutes. And exit the menu to continue. So down here, build, construction, up, down stair, place that there, quartzite blocks. One thing, I'm not sure if it's DF Hack or Dwarf Fortress itself, but because we already have an up-down stair being constructed in the previous area, the quartzite blocks are already selected again, despite being significantly further than some of the first choices. So it lets you build your walls out of a single thing instead of having a confetti-colored construction. Let's go ahead and designate that. Now, in order to, not that we really need it, but let's go ahead and harvest the plants, trees, and other useful materials from this area. So go to Designations, Chop Tree with T, select one corner, press Enter, and then just kind of draw out a box. You only need 2 corners, so Shift left, Shift down for 20 spaces, Enter again, and that will fill out the box. So I've now designated the trees in the area to be cut. To do the same with plants, it is gather plants with P, Enter to start the box, then over, Enter to finish the box. So any mature plants are now designated for gathering. The brownish background or blackish background means that they're designated, and if they're flashing, there's currently someone coming to perform a task on that tile. So again, we have a trade export document. Let's go ahead and go through that. Not that this matters terribly much, but the next time the dwarves send a caravan, they're going to be paying well for, this is what I can export to them. So they're basically asking for blocks, and they're willing to pay double their base price. Cut gems, I do have a very, very large amount of cut gems, so I'll consider that. Thread, I'm never going to trade. Legwear, inevitably I'm going to have a lot of, so if I remember, I might not trade legwear to a different civilization. Toys, figurines, I'm trying to get rid of them anyway. Backpacks I need for military. Cheese, it's not really worth a lot, so I'm not going to bother trading. Quivers I need for military, and prepared meals. I do believe that some people like to export prepared meals instead of mugs. It's relatively easy to make, you're going to need them anyway, and all you have to do is grow a bunch of extra food. So with that done, unfortunately I don't know of a way to, aside from just writing it down on a piece of paper, I don't know of a way to review the export or trade agreements. So I'm done with that. Now, considering that I do have over 50 idlers, what I'm going to do is create a stockpile. Actually, designate trees. I just like to do this to clear out stockpile areas. Otherwise, you get plants growing up through stockpiles. It's not really a bad thing. It's just somewhat annoying. So I'm going to clear out some extra areas. And I do have quite a few dwarves designated to chopping trees and gathering plants. And this is the diplomat, or I forget their exact role, I believe it's a diplomat or trade merchant person, just leaving. Something to keep in mind for gathering trees and plants, Not necessarily at the very, very beginning, but once you have maybe your second or third migrant wave where you've got a little bit of dedicated hauling workforce, undesignate your wood cutters or plant gatherers, probably also your farmers. Actually, let me go over to Dwarf Therapist. This woodcutting, I've got my kind of master woodcutter and his assistants. I have woodcutting turned off on them. What that will do is they'll just chop the tree down, move on to the next tree. Then your dedicated haulers are going to come in behind them and haul the lumber from the tree to the stockpile. So it saves a lot of work on a lot of running back and forth for the woodcutter. So you can just cut the wood and leave your unskilled laborers to move it back. So I'm not entirely sure what this guy wants, but apparently it's a human, probably some human that came with the caravan, who wants to talk to the mayor. So let's see what he wants to talk about. So while the dwarves are carrying stuff back and forth, also right here we have dwarves pushing wheelbarrows. I believe wheelbarrows can only carry one item at a time, but it removes the weight requirement, if not entirely, then by a very, very large amount. So you can have a dwarf basically drop an item and drop a boulder in a wheelbarrow. It might take them a minute or two to move, but once it's in the wheelbarrow, you can just grab the wheelbarrow and haul it along a whole lot quicker. So it's two movement actions going very, very slowly, and then pretty much walking speed to get to the stockpile or wherever it's going. So let's come down here, and I have a stockpile that is only has quartzite and a mason's workshop. There isn't really a way to tell a mason's workshop or a mechanic's workshop to use a particular material. However, because dwarves will grab from basically the nearest stockpile and use that material, something like this where you have a mason's workshop pretty much surrounded by a stone stockpile. The nearest stone is whatever you put in this, and they'll just automatically grab from that. And apparently we have been made a county, so our fortress has grown enough that it's quite famous. And here we have some more trade documents to deal with. And this dwarf up here just grabbed this stone and hauled it over to the mason's workshop. I have another repeating order of construct rock blocks, and the CLT up here means it's cluttered. What happens is, as a workshop only has so much space. So the first 5 or 6 items you can just kind of shove off to one side, but after that, you use T to view the items in the building itself. So here we have a gabber block. It's the building itself is constructed out of. Then we have gypsum blocks, several gabber blocks, several quartzite blocks, several, and quite a few more quartzite blocks, and actually quite a few quartzite blocks. So here's where all of our quartzite blocks are sitting. So basically the cluttered means that the dwarves can't really they're running out of corners to shove this stuff into. So as a workshop becomes more and more cluttered, the production speed decreases and I'm still going down. And here we finally have one that's being worked on. And here's the final block of final quartzite boulder that's being chopped up. So from that you can see that there's quite a few blocks that are basically just kind of sitting here, which is good because we're going to be using the quartzite blocks to build the next this construction out of. And unfortunately, I'm right about at that perfect stopping point. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here. Let the dwarves get back to clearing out this this workspace and take care of the assorted bureaucratic paperwork. And I will be back in the next video. So until then, stay safe, keep the dwarves busy.